about a deal that my team is actively working on right now. And I just thought it was such an interesting thing because people in multifamily right now are getting really, really beat up. The world of real estate has had a hard time because of interest rates, right? Back in the beginning of 2023, interest rates climbed, which elevated my business because I do creative finance. Interest rates don't matter to me. We don't use banks, especially on the front end of a purchase. And so we kind of have the ability to buy way more deals and buy really great deals. So while everybody else is fearful of the market, we know how to take advantage of the market. And I want to give you guys a good example of that. So a couple of years ago, when interest rates were rising, we went out and we bought 160 unit multifamily. I've talked about that a couple of times with some people. And I want to talk about it for maybe 2 minutes, show it to you guys, and then break down a deal that we're actively involved in to show you guys how I think about bigger deals. And the reason I want to teach you this is because when I was brand new and I looked at 100 units or 160 units, it froze me. I was so deathly afraid of anything large that it would just freeze me. And I watched some of my really good friends on social media talk about, oh, you should just skip single family and go into multifamily. You should start with the 32 unit. Guys, I can tell you right now, you should avoid multifamily in the very beginning unless you're investing in somebody else's multifamily. Multifamily is such a different animal. There are employees, leasing agents, there's things to worry about that are like accounting wise that are so much more intricate on a multifamily transaction than it is on single family. However, there's a lot of people that end up joining my community that go, I know Pace does multifamily. I want to learn multifamily from him. And I usually say, if you've never done a deal, let's get you a couple of single family deals so you can see what it feels like to get a transaction, have that paradigm shift of, oh my gosh, I did a real estate deal with no experience, no bank. I did it without any money out of my pocket. I think if I can do this on single family, maybe I can do it on a fourplex. So then I show them how to do it on a fourplex. Then a lot of people go, man, I want to do RV parks and mobile home parks and self-storage. In fact, what do you guys want to do? What kind of asset class do you guys want to focus on? Multifamily, cool. So Mia says multifamily. Self-storage, multi, I want to do multi. You see how many people want to get into multifamily? This is exactly why I'm going to do this training for the next 15 to 20 minutes, is to tell you guys the correct process to get into multifamily is actually through single family, or it's through wholesaling a couple of deals to change that paradigm, especially people that are just barely brand new. You have no credentials, no experience. Multifamily is a completely different beast. Now, what I teach, which is creative finance, avoiding the use of banks, avoiding credit, avoiding your own money, I want to show you guys how we do that on single family today, but I also want to show you how we do that on big multifamily assets, okay? I'm going to pause the side chat for this part of the training. By the way, if you guys are on YouTube right now, I'm going to give you guys a link over on the YouTube channel. We are live on Zoom right now, and we are going to shut down the YouTube channel in about 15 to 20 minutes. We're only going to be on Zoom today. And if you are over on YouTube, I'm giving you a link in your chat. I'm pinning it in the chat. I'm going to tell you one time. I would leave YouTube and come over to the Zoom, and we're going to hang out for probably about 3 hours, do a bunch of Q&A. I'm going to show you guys how to get your first deal in a week or less today. In fact, I have somewhat guaranteed way. I've never missed with this strategy I'm going to break down for you guys today. I've never missed getting somebody their first deal in a week since I started doing this back in October. So I'll break that down for you guys today as well. Okay, so we've got a multifamily deal that a couple of years ago, as interest rates were rising, our team, our SubTo team, we went out and we started finding sellers that were having a hard time selling their properties. Why are they having a hard time selling their properties? Because the buyers are having to use conventional banks. And if a buyer is having to use a conventional bank, interest rates are going so high right now. Okay, interest rates are so high back in 2023 that the buyers could not afford to buy these properties. So let's say a seller has a property that he's trying to sell for $20 million. Well, if the buyer is going out and going to a bank, here's the buyer, and he's going to a bank over here to get that $20 million or a portion of that $20 million, and that interest rate is at 7.5%. Well, this $20 million property back in 2021 is no longer worth $20 million in 2023. And the reason being is because the interest rate changed. And so the buyer's ability to afford that asset has also changed. Give me a thumbs up emoji if you guys all understand that part. So that is what has been going on since 2022, the end of 2022, the beginning of 2023. You can feel it in the economy, right? However, people that use creative finance, this is actually like the glory days. I was calling this like 5 years ago. I said, there's going to be a moment in time where interest rates go up, and the only people that are going to be dominating the people that use creative finance, it's going to feel like they have a super secret that nobody else has. And that is exactly what's happened. Our community, the SubTo community, has done billions and billions of dollars of transactions while other people are on the sidelines. Okay. So we come in, right? A traditional buyer is going to have to go get 7.5% interest rate or maybe 6.5% interest rate to buy this $20 million asset. And so what happens with these sellers, the guy in orange, the guy in orange is like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to drop my price. I'm going to take my price from 20 mil to 19 mil down to 18 mil until I find a buyer that can afford it. And they're just kind of playing a matching game. Then we come along and we say, hey, seller, we have a really good way that we can get you really close to that 20 million. We don't want to pay 20 million, but we'll give you 19.5 million, which is a couple $1 million more than anybody else. We'll give that to you as long as you sell it to us, the SubTo team. You sell it to us for on seller finance, where you let us avoid all banks. You let us avoid all of the credentials, but you give us 4% interest. And so this property, we end up giving the seller what they wanted. Seller got $2 million more than what the market could bear. We come in avoiding banks, avoiding all of the stuff that banks require you to go through. And we end up buying this incredible property. Let me show this to you guys so you guys can see the address and see the property. It's pretty spectacular. It is La Primera at Green Valley. This is a cool property that we own. I'm about to pull it up for you guys so you guys can see it. And one day you guys will also own a property just like this on seller finance without the use of a bank, 161 units. This property primarily consists of people that are retired, that do not rely on a job. This is a retirement area. A lot of people also on government assistance. So we're not worried about AI. We're not worried about jobs replacing our tenants' jobs. We're not worried about robots replacing our tenants' jobs. The majority of these tenants are being paid for by government assistance, pensions, or retirement funds, or even SSI. Okay. And so this property, we buy it on seller finance. We avoid banks. We get a 4% interest rate with the seller. And this property, the number is different every month, so don't quote me, but the property brings in roughly $165,000 a month. That is like, I have to pause after I say that because this property like makes my jaw drop. When I really think about one day, 12 years ago, I would never have ever believed that I would own one single property that brings in $165,000 every single month. When I sleep, when I'm cruising around, when I'm on vacation with my kids, when I'm driving around on the lawnmower in Montana, whatever I'm doing, this property is bringing in $165,000 a month. Now, even better than that number is the number that we net and we distribute as partners. That number is $53,000 every single month that the partners on this deal distribute to families of the partners. That is an insane number. So to tell me that you can buy something without a bank, I just gave you the address, showed you the property, to show you that this is happening, and also to be able to say it brings in $165,000 and we net $53,000 is mind-boggling to me even to this day. But 12 years ago, I would have been incredibly afraid of that. And so the journey I took was a journey that I think most people should take. Because the reality is we know how to negotiate. We know how to show credibility to the seller. We know how to manage the tenants. We know how to collect the money, balance the checkbooks. We know how to actually manage cash flow and distribute money to our partners, right? We know how to do all of those things. Did I learn that through a multifamily course? No. I learned that through single family. The number one best place for you to learn multifamily, self-storage, mobile home parks, RV parks, land development is get a couple of deals in single family. Why? Because every deal that we do, we actually accumulate 4 things. And I think what most people think you're accumulating is they think you're accumulating money. Oh, Pace, I did my first deal. I got a check. I got $15,000. That was amazing. Yeah, sure. You got a check. The other 3 things that you are getting every time you do a deal is you're getting a new relationship, okay, with maybe an agent, a broker, right? Maybe some of your private money lenders, what have you. You're getting new relationships. These relationships compound, my friends. I cannot tell you where I spent my first $25,000 on my first deal. I have no idea where that money went, but I can tell you where all my relationships from that first deal went. And it's the same thing with the other things. I accumulated skills and understanding, and I accumulated resources, right? Proper title companies, right? The proper paperwork. I got the right contractors. I got the right people along the way. And this compounds and compounds and compounds to the point where I go, okay, I think I can own a mobile home park. Okay. I think I can own a mobile home park now. So I'll tell you the story of my first deal today and how I got my first deal. It was back in 2012, and I got tremendous help from somebody who physically held my hand, which is what it turns out that's what I needed. I needed somebody to hold my hand. I'm a contractor by trade. I grew up in being a contractor. My dad was a contractor. So what did I learn when I grew up? How to be a contractor. So I got into being a contractor, and I turned 30, and I basically was touching all of these buildings, touching all of these houses, and I convinced myself that I was also in real estate. I literally had convinced people would ask me networking events, or I'd go to dinner with friends. What are you doing nowadays? Oh, I do stuff in real estate. I'm a real estate guy. No, I was not a real estate guy. And this is how I found out. My biggest clients back in 2012, 2011, it was Open Doors, Zillow, OfferPad. Those companies were my biggest clients. And they would hire me to do all their renovations. And I was doing 60, 70 renovations every single month. I had a good sized company. And I would get a lot of referrals, right? A lot of people would call me and go, hey, we heard you did a great job on so-and-so's flip. We just bought a flip. Will you do our renovation? And so I heard all these people talking about wholesaling, didn't quite know what wholesaling was, talked about doing deals and making $100,000 on their flip. And I thought, man, I'm part of the conversation. I'm part of the thing. Well, one referral came in. And this lady, Bethany, a lot of you guys know my story with Bethany. A lot of you guys have heard this story, so bear with me. We'll tell it for 4 minutes, but it's important as it compounds into some of these other things. My first mobile home park deal, my first RV park deal, my first self-storage deal, my first land development would not have happened without my first single family house. It would have never happened. I could have read all the books, watched all the videos. I could have watched all these big gurus on all their Class A properties. It would have never happened for me. Never. It would have never happened for me. In fact, single family almost never happened for me until this lady called me. Her name's Bethany. She called me specifically for me to be her contractor. And she says, Pace, heard you do a good job. Can you meet me at this property I just bought? I want to flip it. I need you as my contractor. Cool. I go there. I meet her, do the job. I get it done on time. I communicate. I'm relatively on budget. You're never hitting budget on construction, but you're close. Then I do another house with her. Then she calls me on a third house. On the third house, she says, hey, I want you to show up a little bit early. I need to talk to you. Guys, I don't know about you, but anytime a woman says, hey, show up early, I need to talk to you, you're like clenching up. Like, what did I do? Oh my gosh. And I was thinking the worst, like, what did my crew do? Did they break a mirror? Did they do a thing? Did somebody clog a toilet? My guys were always clogging toilets. And so I show up early, I'm catching up on text messages, and I'm like looking over my shoulders, like waiting for her to show up to be mad at me about something she wasn't specific about. And she surprise attacks me, bangs on the glass, boom, 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 boom. Get out of your truck, she says. Get out of your truck. I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt like I was being interrogated by the police. I just didn't know at the time that this lady was doing this all out of love. And she saw something in me. And she told me why she was so mad. She says, get to the back of the truck. She opens up my tailgate. She tells me to sit down on the back of the truck. And here I am with my little feet dangling like I'm a little kid. And this lady's talking up at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. It's like my mom. And she says, why aren't you in real estate? I was like, I am in real estate. What are you talking about? She's like, you are not in real estate. I'm in real estate and you are my slave. Without me buying houses, you don't have a job. You think you own your business? I own your business. You need to become an owner of real estate. You need to get into the game of real estate, Pace. You're making 10 grand on a flip. I'm making $100,000 on a flip. It's not the same thing. And Pace, I'll tell you right now, you are not a contractor. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not a contractor? I show up on time. I hit budgets. I communicate. She's like, exactly. No contractor does any one of those threes, and definitely not all of them at the same time. You are not a contractor. You are built for more. You're great at communicating with people. You love people. You should be doing this and helping these sellers like I do. And I was like, well, I don't know where the money comes from. She's like, really? Is that really your excuse? And I was like, I think so. She's like, how long have you been wanting to get into real estate? And I said, 7 years. I've been wanting to get into real estate for 7 years. And she says, Pace, let me tell you, for the last 7 years that you've been contemplating getting started in real estate, what do you want to do? I'm like, multifamily. She's like, you're not getting started in multifamily. Look at you. You've been lying to yourself for 7 years. You've been lying to yourself for 7 years. You are not getting started in multifamily. You haven't even done your first deal yet. So she then says, tell me what the real issue is. And I go, honestly, I think the truth is that I need somebody to hold my hand. I need somebody that takes me by the hand and shows me how this works. Because I've read the books, I've watched the videos, I've been on trainings, I've been to seminars, I've paid for courses, and I just need somebody to hold me by the hand. She's like, okay, done. I got it. But you're going to find deals for me. We're going to do deals together, and I'm going to make money off of you doing deals. And I said, okay, done. Like, that's what I needed. It's the same thing when I learned how to frame a house, or fix a P-trap, or replace a receptacle, or whatever it was. I needed to see it happen in person. If you guys are also that type of person, throw up an emoji, throw up a thumbs up. Like, tell me you're also that type of person. And most of the people I find, I think it's like 0.01% of people are like, yeah, dude, I don't need any help. I got this. That wasn't me. I was the guy for 7 years that said I was going to do it, and I didn't do it. So back at the time, and this is not what I teach people to do unless you're in like a really small market. Small market would be like Fargo, North Dakota, or, type of thing. She showed me how to spend money on mailers, right? So I would send out mailers, and I go, I don't know how to send mailers. She's like, I know you don't know how to send mailers. I'm going to show you how. I'm like, okay. And man, it was crazy. This was almost 13 years ago. It's coming on 13 years ago. And back then, the technology was so amazing that she goes, here's the phone number for the letter company. They'll send letters and they'll send postcards. Postcards are cheaper, but people don't look at them. Mail is a little bit more expensive, but people want to open something. There's like a euphoric feeling. And you're going to write whatever the letter company tells you to write. I'm like, they know what to write on these? She's like, Pace, they have thousands of clients that do what I do, that tell them and give them feedback. Of course, they know what to write on the letter better than I do. So call this number. So I call this number. She has me spend money on my first mail drop, my first mail campaign. And 3 days later, I started getting leads. This is where I was. Okay. I want to tell you, this is where I was mentally, so you guys can understand that this is probably where a lot of you guys are mentally. She told me to get 2 phones. Okay. So I had my main phone for my construction business, and she called it the bat phone. She goes, you need to go get a bat phone, a dedicated phone, because you spent money on these leads. You need a phone number that only rings when it's a lead coming in for that exact purpose. I was like, whoa. She goes, yeah, you don't miss these calls. You answer every single call. And I'll go, okay, done. So a couple of days later, we send out the mail. I get 2 phone calls that come in. 2 phone calls. What do you think I did? Do you think I answered the phone? No, you think I would, because I spent money on it. I did not. What I did is, the phone was in my back pocket. I was on my hands and knees installing a toilet at somebody else's project. And I convinced myself in that moment, it was that little part of my brain to be afraid, to be sitting on the fence, to be in limbo. By the way, I have turkeys that sit on my fence outside. You guys can see outside, I got this little fence. And I look outside in the morning when the turkeys are sitting on the fence, and I'm like, that was me. I was a freaking turkey sitting on the fence. I wasn't convinced that I could do this business. And so what I did is, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I'll call them later. And my butt's vibrating, right? And it's zzz, zzz. I knew it was the money phone. I knew I should have answered the money phone, but I didn't. And I had 2 leads that came in that day, and I go, okay, don't worry, I'll call them tomorrow. Like I'm pushing it off. And you know what I was afraid of is even though Bethany says, I'm going to walk you through it, I still had to call her if I needed help. And she would call me an asshole every time I would call her and ask for help. She would call me an asshole. You're such an asshole. Just do what I told you to do. I'm like, man, can't you, like, I wish you could just be in my truck all day long. I wish I could just spend a week with you instead of like calling you when I need help, because now I feel stupid. Right. So I realize now I was afraid of picking up those phone calls just in the instant that a seller would say yes. I wasn't even afraid of a seller saying no. I was afraid of a seller of these houses saying, yeah, I'll sell my house to you. And I'm like, whoa, what do I do? What contract? What this? What value? I don't even know the price of things. Like I was so into the like taking action phase that I had not done enough learning. And finally, I get home that night after missing 2 calls, and my wife, we're sitting at the counter, and she says, hey, has your money phone started ringing from your leads? And I go, yeah, I missed 2 calls today. I was busy. How many of you guys have, I'm busy? You've told yourself that lie. That's me too, right? Your little amygdala in your brain's like, don't do anything outside your comfort zone. Don't do anything that's going to benefit you because it's going to require a little bit of work. Dude, the work I would have required just pressing answer and pick up the phone. I was so afraid, but I told my wife I was busy. And my wife's like, okay, so are you going to call the people back? I go, yeah, I'll call them back tomorrow. She's like, you're the man that won't wait 5 minutes in a freaking restaurant. You are going to call these people back tomorrow. They called you. By the way, she doesn't talk like this. She's very sweet. She's like, well, sweetheart, they called you to sell their house and you didn't pick up the phone. They're not going to call. They're not going to wait for your call. They're probably calling somebody else. I was like, oh, you're so right. And now I've got social accountability. Somebody in front of me, physically in front of me saying, dude, do the thing. Do the thing. I'm watching you. Do the thing. I needed that. I needed that accountability of somebody in person. So I go to pick up the bat phone and call these people back. It's like 7 o'clock at night. And another call comes in, a third call, like literally as I'm grabbing the phone to call these people back, I get a third lead. I pick up the phone, and this is how far off I was. I wish I was recording myself, and I wish I had a YouTube channel at the time so you guys could see these silly calls I would make. This first call I answered, I didn't say, hi, this is Pace. I buy houses. How can I help you? Professional. Or, hey, this is Pace. How can I help you? It was, hello? Like it wasn't a business phone. Like I didn't spend money to put my number on on a postcard. Like that's how I answered the phone. Hello? Like a freaking turkey on the fence, not committed to what I'm doing. The lady, her name is Janie. Janie says, is this Pace, the guy that buys houses? I was like, yeah. How can I help you? I'm like making it so hard for this lady to talk to me. And she's like, well, I'm a retiring school teacher. I want to retire and move to Oregon, and I'm going to sell my house. I don't have, my house is in kind of beat up shape. So I don't think I'm going to list through a real estate agent. And I wanted to see what an investor would give me. I was like, okay. So what do you think we should do? And the lady's like coaching me through it. And she's like, I don't know. What do you typically do in this situation? I go, hold on a second. I'll call, I won't call you. Hold on just a second. Let me get my partner. I go to the other line. I call Bethany. Guys, this is my first deal I ever did in my life. First call I ever took. This is my first one. Hey, Bethany, I've got somebody on the other line and she's asking me, what do we do next? And Bethany's like, set an appointment, dude. Like, here's how you set the appointment. I'm like, okay. So I set the appointment to go visit the house. And I'm sitting there going, how am I going to know the value of the property? What am I going to do with the house? Oh my gosh. And I'm like trembling, type of thing. And Bethany's like, dude, don't worry. I'm with you. Let's do it. And Bethany jumps in with me. We go to the appointment. She's kind of sitting in the car watching and sitting inside the car so I could go do the thing myself. She's like, I want to see you and I'm here for support. I go in the appointment and I'm talking to Janie, the seller. I go to the counter and I see stacks of cards, real estate agent, real estate investor, real estate agent, real estate investor. And I'm like, okay, so you're talking to a lot of other people like me. Like I'm not the only person that sent you mailers. I'm not the only one that sent you their business card. And she says, no, I've met with 15 people already. And I go, okay, well, what do you need me for? Like, what's kept you from selling your house? And she says, Pace, I have a price at 165. from another investor. They said they close at 165. Now, right before I walked in the house, Bethany had given me a number. She said, don't offer this lady anything over 150,000. And so as Janie, the seller, is saying she has an offer at 165, I immediately go, oh, I don't think I can help you then. Janie's like, is this a sales trick? I'm like, I'm not smart enough to pull any sales tricks. It's literally what I told her. I go, I have no experience in sales to like pull any sales tricks. It's not a sales trick. She's like, okay, so like, what do we do? I go, I think maybe I just leave. And as I was walking out of the house, I stopped in her doorway. Like I remember having my back up against the door jamb, and I turned to her and I said, hey, before I leave, I know you're retiring and I know you're, basically here by yourself. Is there anything I can do to help you? I'm a contractor. I have crews. We can help you load up boxes, or do you need anything fixed? And she's like, what are you, like a Boy Scout? I'm like, yes, I am a Boy Scout. My mom made me get my Eagle Scout before I could even drive. And she's like, whoa, you're serious? You like really want to help me? I go, yeah, I want to help you. Anything I can do to help you before I leave? And she's like, you're not going to give me a price. I go, no, I can't help you, Janie. You have a price higher than what I could offer you, but is there something I can do to help you? And she says, yes. Now, I want you guys to remember, a lot of people think that the logo of our community is the SubTo logo. It actually has two meanings. The other meaning is our bunny ears. Okay. This is the symbol of the first deal I ever did and the first lesson I ever learned in real estate. Well, probably the second. The first lesson in real estate is stop being a turkey, get off the fence. That's the first lesson in real estate. Get off the fence. Like, make a decision or don't make a decision. Stop teasing yourself you're going to get into real estate and just do the gosh dang thing. You already know you need to get into real estate. So that was the first thing. Stop being a turkey, get off the fence. The second lesson was finding the bunnies. And this is what happened. So Janie says, all right, well, I've got something in the backyard. Can I show it to you? She takes me to the backyard. We go in the backyard. She opens the sliding glass door and she shows me these bunnies that are literally the size of like a 5-year-old child. They're called Flemish bunnies. And she has 3 of them. And she says, they're costing me $600 a month. I can't retire with these bunnies. My granddaughter brought them home. We thought they were regular bunnies. They turn into these massive, massive bunnies. And I don't know what to do with them. Like, do you know anybody that will actually give them a good home? I don't want to sell them. I don't want to give them to a family I don't trust. Like, I really need somebody that can take these. I go, dude, I can solve this problem. And she's like, really? I go, yeah. I call my mom. I literally just call my mom, a 30-year-old man calling my mom going, hey mom, here's the situation. I got this lady that needs help. My mom is such a gangster, raised 12 children. My mom is so awesome. She didn't even ask me why. That's the family I came from. My mom didn't even ask me why, like, hey, why? She just went and borrowed a truck from a friend of hers, brought this truck to this house and helped me load these bunnies into my mom's truck. And my mom took these bunnies down to her little farm. My mom had like 4 acres at the time. And she gave Janie a hug. She says, oh, my son Pace, he loved his school teacher. This is awesome. I'm so glad we could help you out. And then my mom leaves. Like, she's there less than 20 minutes. And Janie's standing there with her mouth open going, who are you people? And I was like, oh, I'm just a person to just want to help out. A scout is courteous, kind, right? You guys know the scout motto. I could go through all this kind of stuff. And I just remember going through the scout motto over and over and over in my life, right? And she's like, you're not going to give me an offer on my house. I go, no, you should sell your house to the person that gave you a higher number. I just can't get to that number. Now, I didn't know creative finance at the time. Otherwise, I would have been able to get this house a different way, probably faster. But I left. And I told Bethany in the car ride home, she's like, what happened? I told her. Bethany's like, interesting. I bet you'll still buy this house. I'm like, no, she's going to sell to somebody else. She's like, no, I bet you'll still buy the house. 2 weeks later, I get a call from Janie, school teacher. Hey, Pace, sorry it's Saturday and I don't want to bother you, but I just want to let you know I made the decision on who I'm going to sell my house to. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Anything I can do to help you? What did you end up selling the house for? And she goes, well, I don't know yet. I'm like, you made the decision. What do you mean you don't know yet? And she goes, well, I made the decision to sell my house to you. I met with 15 people before you, and I met with 15 people after you, and you were the only person that actually gave me compliments about my house. You asked me questions about where I was moving. You were genuinely concerned with what was going to happen in my life, and I sell the house and what does my new house look like, and what's my living situation. And you were the only person that asked me if you could help. And she says, Pace, I have not met somebody in all of my years of living on this earth that genuinely just helped me and did not use. And she goes, I was waiting for you to call me for 2 weeks to say, I rehomed your bunnies. You need to sell your house to me. She's like, I've waited 2 weeks and here we are. You still haven't done that. You're serious. And whatever the number is that you guys are at, you're my buyer. Now, I still didn't know what the heck we were doing with the house or how to fill out a contract. So what did I do? I called the person that was like the person that would go with me. So I called Bethany and go, I need help. She goes, great, let's go. Bethany takes me up to the house. She comes into the appointment with me with Janie. She fills out all the contracts, shows me in person. I'm like, oh my gosh, every video I've ever watched about contracts, every video that I could have ever watched, every book, everything, you just showing me in person and watching the seller answer or ask questions through or going through the contract was the best education I could have ever asked for. It gave me all the confidence to go out and do it on my own over and over and over and over and over and over again. And Janie is crying, thanking me for giving her the number 150. And I was like, what the heck? So we get in the truck. Bethany says to me, and I want to remind you of where I was mentally at this point in my life. Bethany says, hey, congratulations, you got your first deal. And here's what I was more excited about. I want to tell you what I was more excited about than the deal. Mind-blowing. Still, when I say it to this day, I'm still blown away by the fact that I was more excited about something else other than the deal. And it just reminds you of where my mindset was. I said, well, where am I going to get the $150,000 from, Bethany? And what are we going to do with the house? She goes, oh, Pace. Okay. So you are selling the house to me and I'm going to buy it from you for $175,000. You're going to make $25,000. I'm like, okay, but where am I getting the $150,000 from? She's like, I will cover your cost. I will wire all 175 to the title company. They will wire 25 to you and 150 to Janie. You don't have to bring any money to the table. I'm like, no way. You're joking me. I just did 3 hours worth of work and I helped a lady. I helped somebody and I got paid $25,000. Guys, meanwhile, in 13 years of doing this, I've never had a license. I've never gone to formal school. But being physically in person with somebody, showing me that people like Janie are everywhere was a game changer for me. Game changer. And they're everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. I could show you, you guys name a city, I could pull up 2,000 foreclosures right now. People that need your help right now, but you don't know how to stop their foreclosure. You wouldn't even know what to do with the house. My mind was still having a hard time contemplating like what the heck just happened. And she says, amazing. So what's our next step? And what she was trying to get me to say was, I'm going to go find another deal. That's what Bethany was trying to get me to say. But I said, as I go, I guess I'm going to do a construction estimate. I was more excited about doing the renovation on the house because my blue collar exchange time for money mindset was still frozen in time. That first deal did not break me out of it. It was like, she goes, are you kidding me? You just got your first real estate deal. No license, no money, no credit. You made $25,000 helping a lady. And the first thing you jump to is, I can't wait to pick up a hammer and swing it. Why is your first thought not, let's go do another deal? And I was like, well, can I do both? And she says, Pace, no man can serve two masters. If I were you, I would jump full-time into real estate. And she then fired me. She fired me as her contractor right there. She says, you are hereby fired as my contractor. You're never going to do another project for me ever again. You need to find me 100 deals. This year I'm retiring. You have 1 year to do as many deals with me as humanly possible. And I did 100 deals with her that first year. My take home that year, because I had marketing expenses and all that kind of stuff, my net in my pocket was $700,000 working maybe 2 hours a day on appointments and just selling deals to her in my first year. No license, no technology, none of the apps and the software that we have today, none of the stuff that I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to give you guys 12,000 buyers. I'm going to give you 12,000 Bethany's skip traced with all their phone numbers today for free. I didn't have that stuff. That technology didn't even really exist at the time. Man, I went and lit the world on fire. My life changed and I got obsessed with it. I got so obsessed with not only getting sellers out of bad situations, but actually giving them what they wanted. And here's what's really, really fun. I've got a multifamily deal now where everything comes down to finding these bunnies. Every single relationship I have now is, where are the bunnies? Where are the bunnies? What bunnies do you have? Oh, you're going through a divorce. Okay, those are your bunnies. Oh, you're going through bankruptcy. That's your bunnies. Okay, you want a really high price because you're trying to retire. Oh, I get it. Those are your bunnies. And I've got a multifamily deal right now that nobody on the planet is able to do except for me and my team. And that's what I wanted to lead to, is that I would have never been able to figure this stuff out if I didn't go through single family first and learn these things by getting base hit, base hit, base hit, base hit. Now it's like, let's go hit home runs. Now doing a single family deal is like I could sneeze and do a single family deal. In fact, this last 7 months, I've helped over 700 people get their first deal, just like Bethany helped me get my first deal. So what this deal is, this multifamily deal, here's the structure. So I keep going to my chicken farm over there. The structure of this deal is this. You've got a seller in Phoenix, okay? He goes and buys a motel. I won't give you guys the address, but he goes and buys a motel for $1.5 million. It's an abandoned motel. And his thought is, hey man, I'm going to go flip this really, really fast. So what he does is he goes and puts another $1 million into this thing, rezoning it, getting new utilities ran to it, and he rezones it to be a multifamily property instead of a motel. The problem is this $1 million takes longer than expected. He's a little bit over budget, but way over time. This 1-year project turns into a 3-year project, and he just gets to a point where he's like, I need to get out. The problem is now he's all into this property, $2.5 million. And guess what he can't do? He can't sell this to anybody for $2.5 million right now. Everybody's coming in and giving him lowball offers. Why? I already kind of coached you along. Because what they're doing, these other buyers that are not me, are using conventional methods. And this is how creative finance just sweeps the floor with people using conventional methods, meaning they're going to banks and they're using their credit. Meanwhile, me and my team just go, we don't want to go through conventional methods and get a 7.5% rate. We go to the seller and go, hey, seller, how about this? We will give you $3 million on this property, which will allow you to be made whole for your $2.5 million investment. And you will get another $500,000 above anybody else's offer if you don't make us buy the property until the renovation is done. So the seller's letting us avoid coming up with the $2.5 million up front, which means I don't have to go get a bank and I can just start renovating the property. So what I do is I'll go to members of my SubTo community and I'll go, hey, who wants to partner on this deal? And I'll go get SubTo members who are making a ton of money in single family. And I'll go to my SubTo members and go, hey, who wants to pitch in for the renovation? And we all become partners on this awesome renovation. This is also how I got into multifamily. I partnered on other people's projects and I learned the process with money I made in single family. And so all my SubTo members will come in, they'll pitch in, they'll pay for the renovation, and we're converting this 100 plus, I don't know the exact unit count, but we're converting this 100 unit motel into what I call a super Section 8 property, meaning that we will put 100 plus Section 8 tenants in here, which is government guaranteed income. It doesn't matter what's going on with AI and job losses, and it doesn't matter what's going on with the economy. We will get 100 units put into the economy that are affordable housing, and we will use only HUD vouchers to fill this up. There's other people going out there doing like single onesie, twosie, little Section 8 types of thing. That's kind of cute. We buy a whole entire portfolio of single family in one transaction. And the way I got here is because of single family. The way I got here is because somebody helped me walk through my first contract and help my first seller and show me what this business looks like. That is the number one thing I was missing. I learned everything on the job. I learned everything while I was earning, I was learning. And I learned all of these things from Bethany. And we did 100 plus deals together. And a woman to her word, she retired that year. She retired at the end of the year, and I'll show you guys some cool things today in how I want to help you guys get your first deal and how I've helped about a group of about 700 people over the last 6 months get their first deal doing something similar to what Bethany did for me, right? Passing the torch and showing the next person in line how to physically go do a deal. Zoom is great, right? I love Zoom. We can get to know each other. I can teach you things. I can fill in the gaps. But really, at the end of the day, most people just need to learn in person, and most people need to be handheld through the process. And so I watch people go, skip single family. Guys, you find me one multifamily person that wasn't already rich, wasn't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. You show me one person that wasn't born with those two things that started in multifamily, and I'll show you a portal to another universe that doesn't exist. Every single person you respect in multifamily, guess what their first deal was? Single family. It's easy for them to go, oh, skip single family, go straight to multifamily, when they literally could not have gotten to multifamily without single family, literally. And what they're trying to get you to do is just write a check to invest in their multifamily, which is genius. Don't do single family, but then they don't teach you how to do multifamily. Guys, when people partner with me, my SubTo members, I show them how to make a ton of money in single family. They have excess cash. I go, hey guys, let's go partner and take this thing down, supply 100 units of affordable housing to the marketplace. We partner together. We visit the property together. We go through the P&L. We show people how to do the thing. You get a full-on education in multifamily just by being a partner with me. That is the way I learn multifamily. That is the way you should learn multifamily. And that's the same thing that my students learn RV parks and self-storage. We partner together. We do deals together. Okay. I went from single family to mobile home parks. Okay. Check this out. This is a mobile home park I bought 2018, 2019. And this park, I'll pull up the receipt today. I got the receipt on the 6th. This is, I get this receipt every single month. It's roughly the same every month, but this is an RV park. I'm sorry, a mobile home park. My first commercial deal right here. Every single month, this property gives me $7,428 in my pocket after all expenses, after payments, after allocation, after management, after every last thing. $7,200 or $7,400 goes in my pocket. I bought that deal for no money down with the seller, 0% seller finance, 0% seller finance, not 4%, not 2%. The seller literally gave me 0% seller finance. You know how I learned that? Single family. I took what I learned in single family, brought it into mobile home parks. I then brought it into RV parks. I then perfected processes across the country. And oh my gosh, now we do it in multifamily. It is so cool. We have people have been in multifamily for 20 years calling us and going, hey, do you guys have a multifamily class? We can learn how to do this creative finance thing. These banks are beating us up. We're like, yeah, come on down. Guys, the way to get into multifamily is through single family for 99.9% of people. And the people that disagree with me, I would love to see you jump into multifamily right as your first deal. Your seller's going to ask you, what is your rent roll? What does your current portfolio look like? How are you going to buy my property on seller finance and manage 160 units if you don't have another property in your portfolio? It's not going to happen. Sellers are going to seller finance to you, but they're going to ask you, what does your portfolio look like? Single family, sellers don't ask that question. RV parks, most of them don't ask that question. Mobile home parks, most of them don't ask that question, but you get a multifamily, they want to see, what's your portfolio? Who's your management team? What does this look like? They're not going to make you go through a bank, but they're still going to ask about your ability to manage 160 units. And so I could not have physically, even though I knew creative finance and even though I knew all of these things, I could not have skipped to multifamily without building the pedigree and the credibility in multifamily. So today, what I want to talk about is how I can get you guys your first deal, how I can get you on that journey to doing your first mobile home park, your first RV park, all of those types of things. Now, I did promise a lot of people, by the way, 1,260 people in here. Good to see you guys. If you are in the SubTo community, you've already been given these resources 100 times plus 1,000 times more resources, but I doubt many people from SubTo are in here today. This is just a general Zoom, but I'm going to give you guys a resource today. If you are in YouTube land right now, I want to tell you that I'm going to shut the YouTube off right now, and I'm going to give the resource only in the Zoom. So if you guys are in YouTube right now, come on over to the Zoom. Scott, do you have can you put have
in the chat, and it's also in the description.
Okay, the link is already in the description. You're the man. Scott's on it. Okay, so guys, if you're over on YouTube, come on over to Zoom. We are going to